Hi everyone, and welcome back to my War Games hobby channel. Now, as you know, I play the odd game solo in my little bolt hole here, and I want to show you what I'm going to be doing today. Right, here's the game I've set up. It's actually going to be a game of Muskets and Tomahawks. So I'm going to be playing an American War of Independence game with these rules. And as you can see over there, I have two British line infantry units. Over the far side, I've got two provincial loyalist units. And the American side consists of two units of Continental infantry, provincial Continental line infantry that is, not regulars, and two units down here. The one on the right are Minutemen militia, and the one on the left are American riflemen. They're armed with a long rifle. They're the only unit on the table that have the long rifle. Now, the reason that I'm playing this game is it's a bit of an experiment, really, because at the moment, as you all know, we can't play against our buddies with the COVID crisis on at the moment. So we can either play solo at home, which I do occasionally, or you can play online. Now, I've got three other mates of mine, so there's four of us all together that play a game over Zoom using the Zoom method. And we played various rules to a great deal of success, to be perfectly honest. It's quite good fun. But to play online, there are some rules that play easier for an online game and others where it doesn't. For example, I've played quite a few games against one other guy, Graham, my mate Graham, and we play Saga, and that works pretty well online. Graham sets the table up in his own home, and he has the Zoom going, and I tell him what moves I want to do, but he rolls all the dice, and he has both boards there. I have boards in my own home as well, so we can generally get a very reasonable game out of that. We've played Black Powder online as well, and that works well. And Friday we played a game of Bolt Action, and we had a super game with that. It worked really, really well. The other game we played is Sharp Practice. Again, the method it uses for moving seems to adapt well for an online game. Now, as you know, I really do like Muskets and Tomahawks, but of course, since the COVID problem, I've just not been able to play other people, and we want to try this one online. The problem with that is that each side has three cards they have in their hand, and they then choose which one of those cards to use. Once they use one, they're left with two. Again, they choose which of the two cards they want to use and when it's its turn to move, and eventually you get down to one card, and you have to do that anyway, unless of course you spend command points. Now, that doesn't really work well online, because you've got two teams, you've got 2 against 2, for example. Even with 1 against 1, it's going to be difficult, because your opponent that has the cards is going to know what the other player has got. So we're trying to think of a simple way of playing Muskets and Tomahawks without using the 3 card system. So what I'm going to try today is simply, the cards have been shuffled, here we are, they're all ready to go. And I'm just going to pull one card at a time out of the deck, and whatever that card is, depending on whose turn it is, they will go. And you won't ever therefore have 3 cards. I think this will work fine, but because I'm not sure, I just want to have a small game. Now, you can see the game I've set up. I'm showing you the troops. So we've got just the 4 units on each side. And it comes to about exactly 280 points. If you look at the breakdown here of the troops, you can see what I've got there. It's just enough to have a little game. No real objective, for just fighting a battle. I set the table up using the system in the book, and this is how it's worked out. So we've got 2 entry points for the British troops, and they're deployed around those 2 entry points. And Americans have had 3 entry points, 1, 2, 3. and they're deployed around those entry points as well. Now it's the Americans to go first. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw the first card. Now whatever it is, if it's a blue card, obviously whatever unit it says they have to move will move. If it's a red card, then obviously the British will move instead that turn. But of course the Americans then will get a command token, which are these little tokens here. I've got them as green. Okay, at the moment they both start with 2 command tokens each anyway, because they both got 2 officers on each side. And if it is their turn but the opposition card comes up, although the opposition get to move instead, they do get a command point which they can of course spend later. So let's just first of all then, let's see what happens. Let's see what the first card is. I've given these a good shuffle, so I don't know what's going to come out. So it's the Americans to go first. So there's the first card. It's the American Irregulars card, which means these 2 units can make a move. So I'll do that quickly. I'm not going to hang around too much doing this. Is just an experiment. In that type of terrain they can move 5 inches. The Minutemen will go in there as well. There's no reason why they shouldn't. Move the officer as well. Right, that's it. So that's the first American move. They can't see the British behind the hill anyway, over the other side of the table, but they don't want to do anything else anyway. So the second card that comes out the pack is going to be, and it's the British turn now, and in fact yes, they have got a red card as well, and that's the red provincial card, which means that over the other side of the table the provincials will move. Okay, so that's the second move. Now the third move, see what comes out. Now it's the Americans' turn now. Oh, now they've drawn a British card, which means that they can't go with that. It have to be the British that will move, but they will get a token, which means they've now got 3. But the British regulars are now going to move. Right, next card to come out is, oh, it's a clock card. The clock card doesn't mean anything, it's a green one, so they pick another card. Yes, they've got a blue card and it's their irregulars again, so these guys can now move again. They're quite a long way away from any enemy they can see. The rule I use, incidentally, for hills is that once they're on the hill they can be seen rather than behind slopes, because when you talk about slopes it's very difficult sometimes to know where the slope is. So I often play the rule where once they're on the hill they can be seen and they can see as well. So they could fire on that unit, which is 18 inches away, assuming they can see it, which I'm sure they'll be able to. So they've got to roll 6 dice, and these are all D10s of course. So let's see how they did. 0 counts as a 0, not a 10. So they're hitting on 6s. That's a 6, 2 7s, 3 7s and a 4. So that's 4 hits. So that's pretty good going. It's not firing over half range because it's a long rifle. So the long rifle has a strength of 4 at that range. So 4 dice rolling 4 or over, and it causes a casualty. Well, I say 0s count as nothing. 3, 1, just 1 hit. So 1 casualty on the British. So I've got to roll 2 dice. The British took a casualty, so they have to roll 2 dice now because they have to do a reaction test. They rolled, it's a pretty good roll actually. I rolled 11. And they're going to be alright with that because that's quite a high roll. In fact, trained troops got to get down to 6 before they start to get recoil or shaken. So they're fine with that. The Minutemen, what are they going to do? They've only got a musket, they don't have a rifle. So they're not going to be very effective at firing that range. In fact, they're only the front ranks in range anyway. So they're just going to move forward a little bit more. in that area there. Now let's turn over the next card. This British. This is the American Go, and they pulled out a British card, so they're going to gain a command point for spending that. The morale card won't do anything to the British this time. It's too early on in the game. So now we're back to the British turn. They can move their provincials, which are these guys over here. So the thing is, they're quite a long way away. Are they within range? Yeah, they could open fire, but they're going to be so ineffective that range. So I think we'll just move them. In fact, it'd be nice if those guys could get in the wood, wouldn't it? So they're going to move forward. The officer will go with them. The guys in the rocky ground at the moment, I think they're going to stay there. They don't have a rifle, which is a bit unfortunate. If they did have a rifle, it'd be worth them having a pop. But they've only got muskets, so they're going to hold fire for now. But they're in a nice position in that rocky ground. There's no need to move them out of there. Right, so that's it. The provincials have moved. Now it's the next turn, and it's the American turn. Yeah, they picked a blue card as well, and that's their provincials, which are these guys again. So the rifleman will reload. Take that smoke away now. And the militia, the Minutemen, what are they going to do? No, that's all right. They can try for that. They're going to try and hit with 8s. So 6 dice with 8s. And they got 1, which is not a lot of good really, but there we go. The unit, it's over half range for that unit, so it will be damaging or killing on 6s. Nope, they missed. So they opened fire and they missed. These guys have just reloaded. I mustn't forget, incidentally, I'm only doing this game quickly to test out the rules, and I mustn't forget to put a fire marker down. And in fact, the rifles have 2 fire markers because they're a long rifle. So they remove one of those this move to reload partially. They need another move to reload yet. These are in close order, as I think the British would be, and I'll declare that in fact the provincial, the loyalists are not. So they shouldn't. I use actually these base to note whether they're in close order normally, but because it's just a quick game to test this rule out, I'm not worrying about that. But I will declare that these are in the close formation, these are not, and these 2 probably are. They're sort of the regulars, if you like. So the British have just moved forward. They're not within range to fire. Volley fire is 16 inches, so yeah, they were out of range anyway. They're only just going to be in range now. So the British are moving forward ready to do volley fire, and they will do next time. Now it's the British turn. Another clock card comes up, so I'll pick another card. Oh, and it's the regulars again. So the British, guess what they're going to do? They're going to do volley fire on the Americans here. Yeah, they're all within range, and these are in range as well. So I'm not going to spend too long talking about this, but in these rules, when you do volley fire, you don't count how many men are shooting. It's really the reaction to the units being shot at. And what happens is, with 2 ranks firing, these 6, for example, have to roll, and if I score 0 or 1 on this dice, then they're hit. In fact, they're dead. They don't even get to save. So let's do that first. So volley fire with this unit on the 6 Minutemen. They got 1-1, so 1 figure dies. And now let's do the same with these over here. You've got the 6. They don't get anything for cover as well. Volley fire ignores cover, so they're just opening fire. They're within range, and anything within that arc of straight ahead and within 16 inches. The officer isn't. He's just out of range, so he doesn't have to roll, but all the other troops do. So I'm rolling 6 dice again. 0s and 1s count as a hit. Again, it's only 1 hit, but they do lose a figure. So the Americans didn't do too badly there, I suppose, but they both have to do a reaction test for being shot at. So let's just roll to see what those guys do first. So I'm rolling 2 dice. The British need a bit of smoke in front of their units. They also need cards to indicate that they've opened fire, and they get 2 fire cards each because volley fire, it takes 2 actions to reload. And that's it. So it's the next turn, next card out. Oh, it's the red card. So that's the end of that first sort of part of the game, because once the 3 clock cards come out and the other 2 have already come out, then that turn finishes. So these cards aren't used. Those last 6 cards, they're just placed back into the pack, and everything will be shuffled and we start the next turn. At that point I'll stop, because I was just really trying to show you how it would work if we just pulled out 1 card at a time. And I think it works all right, to be honest. Oh, it does take away, normally you would get 3 cards. Let me just demonstrate. If you don't know this game, you'd normally get 3 cards for the British, 3 cards for the Americans. So let's say these American cards normally, oh, they've got a clock card, so we throw that away straight away. Right, so the Americans normally have 3 cards, and then they would decide which card they want to use out of those 3. Well, obviously that would be the one they would use, it'd be the regular card. But once that's gone, then the next turn, they've only got 2 British cards, so they've got to either let them move their provincials, or they use the morale card. So there is a choice for the normal game as to which card you use. The only difference in doing it online is, I think, the only way you can do it really physically to have a game online is to just draw 1 card at a time, as I've explained, and you just move whatever that is. The command points are used later on in a game if you have enough command points. At the moment, the Americans, for example, have got 5, so they could elect to use 4 of those command points to use a unit of 7 figures or more. So they could use 4 of those to move this unit again in its turn. So rather than pick a card from the pack, they use command points instead. So that's why it's useful. The command points are slowly built up. In fact, the British have got 5 as well. So it does seem to work. You can do it just by pulling out 1 card. I mean, no, you missed the choice, but to be honest, it seems to be working really well. I thought it would do. I saw no reason why it shouldn't work. And maybe I'll suggest to the guys that we have a game, you know, just to give it a try. There'll be two aside, so that'll be interesting. But I do think it's very, very doable. I do love Muskets and Tomahawks. They're my favourite rules at the moment, favourite skirmish rules certainly. And I'm really looking forward to the Napoleonic supplement, which is actually coming out anytime soon. And if you watch my previous videos, you'll notice that I've been painting up an Austrian army. In fact, I've just ordered a French as well, because I've got enough now of Austrians painted to have a game, but I've got nothing to fight against. So I've just ordered a load of French infantry. In fact, I've got them off eBay, and they'll be arriving in the next few days. And what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to speed paint them and get enough done ready for when the Napoleonic supplement comes out, which I believe is any time soon. Hopefully it'll be the next sort of month, and I want to make sure that I'm ready for when that is available. So I hope you found it interesting, whether you like Muskets and Tomahawks or not, or whether you've playing online and want to try it, then that was my suggestion on how you can play the game. I think it's very doable. Right, so that's it for me, guys. Just a quick demonstration of that, and keep well, look after yourself. Hopefully we'll be back wargaming together soon, and anyway, I'll see you next time round. Okay, bye.